Hi, welcome again to another session of Satchel Classes. My name is Mr. Castrillon, and today we are going to talk about the house. ¿Cómo es tu casa? And most importantly, this is going to be a Key Stage 3 session in Spanish. But of course, feel free to join us if you are from Key Stage 4 or if you're from in primary school. You know, this is for everyone. It's very basic, but at the same time, we're going to be looking at some more complex structures. Today, our targets are going to be as follows. Hoy vamos a repasar vocabulario sobre el alojamiento. Utilizar el verbo vivir en presente simple en primera persona. Crear oraciones describiendo dónde vivimos. I'm going to translate this in English for you guys. We are going to revise words about housing. So like where we live and the whereabouts where we live. We're going to use the verb to live in present. And we're going to do it in simple present, and we're going to do it in first person. So we're going to be doing I live throughout the lesson. However, we're going to learn the rest of the structure for that verb. Finally, we're going to be able to create sentences describing where we live. Okay, so let's have a look and see the words that we're going to be learning today. So the first one is alojamientos. I'm going to repeat this word. It's a long word, and if you can actually use it at some point during your GCSE exam or during your lessons, feel free to do so. It's a very good one. Alojamiento. It's a long word, lots of vowels, but really good one to practice Spanish pronunciation. It means dwellings or housing or where you live. Okay, and we have different types of houses, of course. We have the most basic one, which is house itself. Then we have a flat. Some people will live in a farm. And of course, some people will live in a cottage. So we have casa, piso, chalet, granja. Now, really important. Where I come from, we don't say piso, for instance. We use the word apartamento, which is very similar to apartment. But since you're going to be speaking in Spanish from Spain, the best option to go with is piso. If you say apartamento, there is nothing wrong with the word. It's just that it's more the sound and the accent and the origin of the word. Now, let's say I want to describe where I live. The first thing is I'm going to say I live. Vivo. Vivo en una casa. So a couple of things to check here in this sentence. First, vivo, I live, en una casa, in a house. And as you can see, I underlined the A at the end. And that's because casa is a noun that will have or will be either masculine or feminine. Can you guess whether it's masculine or feminine? It is feminine indeed. Why? Because it ends in A. Now then, most of the words that will end in A will be feminine, but not all of them. So be very careful and learn the words that do actually end in A that are masculine. Why is that the case? Because we will be using adjectives, and it's really important to combine these adjectives appropriately to the noun or the word that you're using. Vivo en una casa. Now, let's say I want to describe my house. I want to say what my house is like. So, mi casa es grande, big. Now, have a look at this. Grande ends in E. So when an adjective ends in E, you do not need to worry about feminine or masculine. That word will work for both of them. So you don't need to worry or say granda or grando. Just say grande, and that's perfect. Mi casa es grande. And you see later on today that we are not going to do any changes to that word. But if the house is small, we do have to make a change at the end of the word. Pequeña. That means small, feminine. Now, we do have in Spanish more words to describe a house. We can say acogedora, bonita, amplia, nueva, antigua. Now, all of these words describe a house. I'm going to translate them for you. Acogedora means comfortable. Acogedora. Very good word to practice your Spanish, your pronunciation. Bonita means beautiful. Amplia means wide. Nueva means a new house. And antigua means old. What about piso? Flat. Vivo en un piso. Well, I live in a flat. Once again, I'm saying I live, vivo, en un piso. Now, here we have a masculine word. It means that it ends in O. And most of the words in O, in Spanish, ending in O, will be masculine. Mi piso es, now I'm going to describe my flat, grande. And as I said before, you don't need to do anything to the word big in Spanish. It stays the same. Why? Because adjectives ending in E won't have any change in terms of masculine or feminine. But if I'm going to actually use any other adjectives like small, then in that case I need to use the right word for that, which is pequeño with O at the end. Why? How do I know this? Well, because piso ends in O. Now I have many more words, and the ones I was using before, have a look at this. Acogedor, bonito, amplio, nuevo, antiguo. Feel free to repeat after me so you can practice your pronunciation as well. I'm going to do it again. Acogedor, bonito, amplio, nuevo, antiguo. Really important. Look at the ending of bonito, amplio, nuevo, antiguo. All of them end in O. Acogedor lost that A that we had before. And it's because any adjective that ends in O, R, or R, you will have to put an A if it is feminine, or the adjective will stay the same. So, casa, piso, granja, chalet. Now, today's word, or today's verb, and there we go. Now, to live in Spanish is vivir. And I have divided this into singular and plural. Singular means that it's only one person, that is using the verb. For instance, yo vivo, I live, or you live, but that's only one. Do you live? I will be talking to one person. Or usted vive. Now, there is a difference between tú and usted. They are both you, but the first one, tú vives, is I would say casual. You will use it with a friend or with relatives, people who are very close to you. Usted vive is more polite, and you use it with elderly people or with people who are much older than you, or people who are at a higher, I would say, a hierarchy, like say, for instance, your boss or your teacher. And then we have él, ella vive. He, she lives. Then we have the plural. Nosotros vivimos. Vosotros vivís. Ustedes viven. Ellos, ellas viven. Really important. This is a regular verb and it belongs to the IR verb group. And this is why at the end of the verb, as you can notice, all I'm doing is changing the ending. O, ES, E, IMOS, and so on. So that makes it really easy for us to remember whether the word is, whether the ending is going to be O or ES, and we just kind of swap the ending. It's like playing Lego in Spanish. Something really important that we need to remember is that all of these verbs, the regular verbs, are a list. They belong to a list, and there are lots of them. So it's really good to revise them as often as you can. So vivo. Now, I can say that I live not just in a house, but I can say whereabouts my house is located at. So I'll have en la costa, vivo en la montaña, vivo en el campo, vivo en la ciudad, vivo en un pueblo, vivo en el centro. Now, these are locations. You can easily use them to describe where you live even more. So don't just say, I live in a house. Say where the house is located at. So for instance, vivo en una casa que está en la ciudad. Now, I have underlined this section here, this que está, because it's really important to remember that the more complex sentences you use, the better. So for instance, here, I live in a house that is in the city. And that shows that you're using sentences within another sentence. And that's really important. And you're using a connector, which is que. So feel free to copy this sentence and play with it. You can say, vivo en un piso que está en el campo. O vivo en una casa que está en la costa. O vivo en un chalet que está en el centro, en un pueblo. And you play with this, like playing Lego, as I said before. Now, if we want to even improve our sentences, if we want to make it even better than what they already are, then we have rooms. Now, in this case, I have 8 rooms, or not me, but my house. So I would say this as tiene ocho. Now, this is a long word that you very likely will have to practice. Habitaciones. Now, if you want to use a more South American accent, you can say habitaciones. There is not a big difference, and people will understand exactly what you mean. Tiene ocho habitaciones. So let's see how you get on with the following sentences. I'm going to show you some pictures, and I would like you to write them in the way they look. And you're going to say where you live, where the house is at, and what the house looks like. So I'm going to give you 1 minute for you to practice with this one. In the meantime, I'm just going to stop my video, but the webinar is still going. And I'm going to give you 1 minute for that. You have 30 seconds left. You have 10 seconds left. Right, I hope you've done really well. So let me show you how we say this in Spanish. Vivo en un chalet en el campo. Mi chalet es grande. It's a very simple sentence and it has a lot of wording in it. And that's what you want to have when you're writing or when you're describing your house in your speaking exam. But also when you're talking to someone from Spain or from any Spanish speaking country like myself, and then you want to explain or say where you live. Let's go to the next sentence. So we have a house in the city, in the center of the city, and it has 8 rooms. Go for it. 1 minute. You have 30 seconds. Okay, I hope you've done really well with this one. We have more information to include in the sentence. So let's see how we did. So, vivo en una casa, I live in a house, en la ciudad, en el centro. Mi casa tiene 8 habitaciones. I'm going to repeat this. Vivo en una casa, en la ciudad, en el centro. Mi casa tiene 8 habitaciones. Did you get it right? Very well done. If you didn't, don't worry. Practice makes better. And the more you practice, the better you will become at this. Let's go to the next one. So here we have the flat in the small village. The flat is small and it has 2 rooms. You ready for it? Go for it. You have 1 minute. You have 30 seconds left. Well, this was a longer sentence as well. 4 bits of information that we should be able to do. Let's have a look. Vivo en un piso en un pueblo. Mi piso es pequeño y tiene 2 habitaciones. Very straightforward. By the way, in this sentence, I used the word y, which means and. And when you use the word and, yeah, you're making your sentences even longer rather than using just a full stop or a period in between the sentences. Something very important as well is always keep an eye on those adjectives. So for instance, here I say mi piso es pequeño. Why? Because I need to keep a good combination between my noun and my adjective. Okay? Right. Let's go to the next sentence. Here I have a house. It's in town, in the center. It's comfortable. So it'll be one of the words that we learned earlier. And it's in the city. Ready? Go for it. You have 30 seconds left. Very well done. I hope you've had this sentence complete as well. I'm sure you have. So we have, vivo en una casa en el centro. Mi casa es acogedora. Remember, I need to do that good balance between my noun and my adjective. Mi casa está en la ciudad. Well, I'm going to show you more sentences, okay, and then we'll see how they translate into Spanish. And always remember, if you want to come back to this lesson, feel free to. So remember that they're on demand, and just keep coming and practice the more you can do. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a farm. It's in the countryside, and it's a small farm, and it has 4 rooms. So let's see how we say this in Spanish. Vivo en una granja en el campo. Mi granja es pequeña, tiene 4 habitaciones. Now, you can take a picture of it if you want to with your phone, yeah? And the most important thing is try to remember the sentences and try to make your brain used to the structure. So always pronounce. Use your verbal skills to pronounce every single one of these sentences. Let's go to the next one. We have a house in the center in a small village. It's a big house and it has 10 rooms. Vivo en una casa en el centro de un pueblo. Mi casa es grande, tiene 10 habitaciones. That's a very good sentence, actually. Long, really bulky, and it actually shows that you know a lot. House, story. So we have a new word here that is going to come, and south, and then we have 12. So how do we say this? Well, vivo en una casa de 5 plantas. The word story in Spanish is plantas. You can remember it by using the false friend plant. And south will be en el sur, in the south. Tiene 12 habitaciones. Always remember to revise your numbers. If you don't remember them, go back and practice again. What about this one? We have a farm in the mountains on the west. It's old and it has 9 rooms. Well, vivo en una granja en la montaña en el oeste. Mi granja es antigua y tiene 9 habitaciones. I'm just going to skip some of these sentences. Feel free to come back anytime because you'll be able to revise these ones. So by now you should be able to say where you live and whereabouts your house is at. You should be able to describe where you live, and you should be able to use masculine, feminine adjectives accordingly. If you have done this, very well done to you. If you haven't done it and you're still struggling with this topic, please do practice. Ask your teacher. Ask him a lot about pronunciation and new words that you can learn and more complex sentences. Most importantly, come back to these lessons, revise them, see them again. That is going to help you a lot with your pronunciation and with the structures that we use every single day in our Spanish. And there are some things that actually I'm learning with you guys, which I didn't know when I was in Colombia. So for the time being, I want to wish you the very best, muchos éxitos, and I hope I can see you very soon. Hasta la vista.